You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
What is up guys, today for this video we are taking a look at Luke Skywalker himself. So Luke is this week's hero guide and I'm going to be talking about his strengths, his weaknesses. I'm going to be showcasing the star cards that I use for him and I'm going to be explaining why I specifically use these star cards compared to the other ones that he has. And I'm also going to try to give you guys like some tips and tricks as well when playing as Luke Skywalker, as I do think that he's a really fun character to play as. And I think now, because with PlayStation, how Battlefront 2 is free and there's a lot of PlayStation was coming in, there's going to be a lot of people jumping in. They're going to try to like play as Luke because, you know, he's probably one of the easier heroes, I would say, to play as. But at the same time, I still think that he can be mastered in a way which actually benefits you and also your team when it comes to like playing Galactic Assault or maybe playing heroes versus villains, so that you can use your abilities at the right time in order to get really good kill streaks. And if you're playing heroes versus villains, you can stay alive with Luke as long as possible and just keep ranking up those kills. So we're going to jump straight in and I'm going to go to talk about his star cards. Like I mentioned, I'm going to explain why I think the star cards I use are probably the better ones compared to the other ones, and then we're going to get more into the gameplay and I can showcase some Luke Skywalker tips and tricks for you guys. So jumping straight in, we're taking a look at Luke Skywalker star cards. So as you guys can see, these are the 3 star cards that I have highlighted, and these are the ones that I use whether I'm playing Galactic Assault, whether I'm playing heroes versus villains. These are always like my 3 main go-to star cards for Luke. Luke is a very versatile hero, very fun to play, very agile, and his abilities, they all pair very nicely with each other. However, at the same time, for my playstyle, especially since I play Luke a little bit more aggressively, these star cards kind of suit my playstyle a little bit more better. First star card that I use whenever it comes to playing Luke is called Epic Center. And the reason why I use this star card compared to the other ones is because this star card actually amplifies Luke's repulse ability, which is his middle ability. Benefits of this star card is it actually allows Luke's repulse ability to do 40 bonus damage as an increase to Luke's damage already on top of his repulse ability. So whenever I use this repulse ability, whenever enemies are within half of its radius, I am going to do 40 bonus damage on top of the damage that repulse already does. For my playstyle in particular, I find repulse to be a very good ability. Sometimes, unfortunately, and this is one of Luke's downsides, is that he doesn't have immunity when using this ability, so do keep that in mind as well, as it's a little tip for you guys as well. What I mean about immunity, if you guys don't know about it, is that this ability can be cancelled. So let's just say you're going up against a group of enemies, and let's just say you're about to use repulse. Well, let's just say you're going up against a Kylo player. If they use their freeze ability, they can cancel your ability from actually happening. Let's just say you're going up against Darth Vader as an example, you're just about to use repulse, and if Vader uses his choke first, your ability is going to be cancelled as well. So that's just a little thing for you guys just to like keep an eye out. His middle ability, unfortunately, doesn't give him immunity, and it actually can be cancelled, which is one of his downsides, unfortunately, whenever it comes to playing with repulse. However, on the right side of repulse, and a lot of times you might see like in some gameplay and stuff like that, I always try to create an opening for me to use repulse, especially when I'm playing heroes versus villains. I always aim, before I use repulse, I actually try to dash behind my opponent so that I can use repulse, because, you know, obviously with this star card, like I mentioned, it does give you a 40 bonus damage increase to the damage on top of repulse already, which is pretty cool. But obviously at the same time, sometimes repulse, I kind of use it as like a finisher, as if I get behind my opponent, you know, like I dash behind them or dash to the side of them, especially if they're not blocking, then I can use repulse, and repulse will actually knock them down, and this actually allows me to follow up maybe with 2 lightsaber swings, or maybe I can follow up with maybe my push ability, or even with my dash strike ability. So repulse, like I mentioned, really good, and I just find this star card to be extremely well for like amplifying Luke's repulse ability, because it's very good, especially when it does work. You can jump into a group of enemies, let's just say Galactic Assault as an example, you can just jump straight in and you can just use this ability, and in most cases you will go in to actually like one-shot the opponents that you're coming up against, depending if they are heavies and obviously if they're overcharged with extra HP as well. So repulse, like I mentioned, and the star card, they kind of like fit together in my opinion, and they work pretty good. Second star card on the list that I use is called Stronger Push. And one thing with Luke, before I get into the star card, is that Luke is known for pushing. A lot of times you might be playing, let's just say heroes versus villains on one of the maps, maybe like Sheik, or maybe Bespin, or maybe Naboo like I'm playing on right now, a lot of people, especially newer players, who I do realize like the first thing that they do with Luke is that they always rush in with his push ability. And in some cases it's kind of predictable, it's kind of become like a little bit common, I guess, among newer players. And this is one thing I kind of want to like just help newer players and also veteran players to understand. Don't always be one of those players who just rushes in with Luke's force push ability, because most of the times you're going to put against saber wielders, they're going to be blocking. What's going to happen is that you're just going to be stuck in the animation of like doing your push, and you're not going to get the damage, and you're not even going to push them. So that's just one little tip for you guys. Like, don't always try to rush in with your push. Kind of like know the situation first and then decide whether or not you actually want to use your push. However, the reason why I do use this star card though is because it actually allows Luke to get a 100% force push knockback, and this is really good as it actually sends enemies flying. And like I was touching on earlier, when you're playing on maps unlike, let's just say, Kashyyyk or Naboo or Bespin or something like that, a lot of the times it's really funny to just, use this ability and just watch enemies just fly over railings, over cliffs, ledges, all that type of stuff. It's really fun to just go in with Luke and just lose his force push ability. And one little tip for you guys as well, just to know, because I do realize that not a lot of people actually do this, is that when it comes to playing as Luke, you actually can use his force push ability while in midair. Luke is the only character in this game who can actually use, on the light side at least, who can actually use his force push ability while being in midair and also on the ground as well. So most times, just to create some distance between me and my opponents and to make sure I don't receive as much damage as I could if I was on the ground, I would actually jump up in the sky and then I would actually use his force push ability, which is really good and kind of combos well with his other abilities as well. So just to know as well, with Luke's force push ability, it actually does one-shot most infantry other than heavies, especially if they're overcharged as well. So it's actually really good. Sometimes you can just go into, let's just say, Galactic Assault or Supremacy, you can just go in with like a bunch of enemies and you can just either stay on the ground if you want to, or you can jump up, as like I would highly recommend doing so as well, just so that, the enemies have a harder time of hitting you, and you can just use that force push ability and you are going to do a lot of damage to them and actually one-shot them. Like I said, it just depends if they're heavy players and especially if they're overcharged with like extra HP and stuff. So just a little tip for you guys just to know as well. The final star card that I use is called Intensify. And the benefits of this star card is for every trooper defeated or 200 damage done to enemies, it is going to increase Luke's lightsaber damage by 2 up to a maximum of 36. So let's just say an example, let's just say you're playing Supremacy, you're playing Galactic Assault. So the maximum increase of this is going to increase Luke's lightsaber damage by 2 up to a maximum of 36. However, let's just say that you're playing one of those game modes like I mentioned, you're going to have to get 18 kills with Luke to get his lightsaber damage up to the max potential of Intensify, being 36. So on top of Luke's damage already with his lightsaber, he's going to do an increase of 36% bonus damage if this star card is raised up to the maximum. If you're playing heroes versus villains as an example, all you need to do is raise your damage up by 200. So each time you do damage to an enemy, let's say heroes versus villain, I'd always say, keep an eye out on how much damage you are doing, as you can actually reach the maximum of this star card. In Galactic Assault, like I mentioned, you need 18 kills to actually increase Luke's damage up to the full potential of the star card, being an increase of Luke's lightsaber damage already, now having 36 bonus damage on top of it. So in most cases, you could actually two-shot an enemy just with his lightsaber alone. One thing about Luke as well is that he has the fastest swing speed of any lightsaber wielder in this game, and is arguably maybe second only when Count Dooku uses his duelist ability. But standard wise, Luke's lightsaber swings are the fastest in this game, which is really good in his case, as it makes up that you can actually do damage really quickly as you are swinging at such a faster speed compared to most saber wielders. The one thing about Luke, especially when this star card it has really reached its max potential, is that in most cases you can actually 3 or 4 shot an enemy from behind. Perfect example of this are blaster characters such as Iden, Bosk or Boba Fett. Let's just say you have intensified to the max potential right now. If you get from behind them and they actually don't realize it, you can kill these characters, especially blaster characters. Saber characters are a little bit more tanky and have a little bit more HP, so it might take maybe 5 or 6 or 7 hits depending on the character that you're going up against. But like I mentioned, Bosk, Iden or even Boba Fett, they can be defeated from behind, especially when this star card is at its max potential in most likely 3 or 4 hits, which is really crazy. Like Intensify far is probably one of the best star cards for Luke, and I do see a lot of Luke players especially winning this star card, and I think now, especially with newer players as well, I don't think they understand the benefits of this star card, like, as you kind of have to like break it down a little bit more to actually understand how to actually get it to its full potential. So hopefully I have actually cleared this up in regards to people understanding what Intensify actually does, how you can maximize its full potential, and also the benefits of having this star card on Luke, whether you're playing Galactic Assault or you're playing Heroes vs Villains or even Supremacy. So Luke in this game, I definitely feel like he is one of the more seen characters on this game. Whether you're playing Heroes vs Villains, Galactic Assault, Supremacy or anything like that, Luke is a favorite character. He's a fan favorite, and a lot of people in this game, they jump to play as Luke because he has the fastest swing speed in the game. His movement speed is the fastest as well compared to all the other saber wielders in this game also, and he's just really fun to play as his abilities work up very well with each other. So in most cases where you guys might see me doing my gameplays, I might actually go in with a bunch of enemies, I might go in, I might get behind them, and then I would use repulse, and then I'll actually follow up with my dash strike, and it's really good. Or I can actually just follow up with maybe a push afterwards, depending on if the enemy is actually defeated or not. Most times when you're playing Galactic Assault or Supremacy, you can get some really crazy kill streaks with Luke because his abilities, they just work so well with each other. And that's kind of like the whole purpose of this video, to kind of like have new players, also veteran players alike, who may actually forget in some scenarios, like, you know, when to use Luke's abilities, and also help you guys to understand that, you know, even though Luke does have the fastest swing speed in the game, because of that he runs out of stamina quite quickly compared to the saber wielders. His stamina can be drained just as quick as fast as he is actually swinging his lightsaber. So that's kind of like a little thing to know for you guys as well. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this Luke Hero guide. I really hope that new players especially are going to find this guide helpful, and maybe even veteran players as well. So if you definitely have enjoyed this video, guys, do leave a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel if you are new as well, as it's very appreciated and shows me that you guys want to see more of this. And I just hope that these videos have actually helped you guys to actually master Luke, in the hopes of, you know, becoming a better Luke Skywalker player. So without further ado, guys, thank you for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.